Hey ladies, Karen McCoy here, and in this video I want to go over squatting. Now squatting technique is very particular, but a lot of women don't do it because they're afraid to do it, and really with a few basic lessons you can squat away and you can get great results. There really is no better way to build the lower body strength and shape and conditioning like the squat. So first of all, let's go over a few particulars before I show you the squat. A lot of women say their knees hurt when they squat, and usually the reason for this is because the knee is a very flexible hinge, and so what it does is it has to take up the slack for tight hips and tight ankles that are on either side of the knees. And so as we age in particular, or if we don't do specific exercises to keep the hips and ankles flexible, then the knees have to take up the slack, and so they often are the blame victims for squatting not being something that women can do. In a yoga, we often work on the hips, but we don't often work on the ankles, and I see a lot of ankle instability in people that try to squat. So it's really important that we understand that the squat is there to help with flexibility as well. You're going to be limited by the flexibility or lack thereof in your hips and ankles, but these will open up with time, and I'll go over that with you. A lot of people, sorry, I'm just looking at my notes down here. A lot of people want to use assists, and assists are really great. Assists like knee wraps, and I would highly recommend a pad or a towel on the bar and a belt. Now, what I say to people is don't use these assists right away. It's important that you come to understand that your body needs to build up its strength without the assists. And if you run to them right away, like a lot of people do because they think they're supposed to, they think they need them for the lift, what happens is the body can't grow in strength. And so the core is the abs and the back, and they both have to strengthen to assist you in a squat. If you wrap it up with a belt right away, that area can't learn to strengthen on its own, and you're always going to be limited because you're going to create more weakness in that area. It's the same with knees. If your knees bother you, let's work on technique first instead of wrapping, because wrapping, whether it be on the outside with the wraps that I showed you or the sleeves, whatever version you choose, sometimes it can push the patella in and it might not be healthy for your knees. So again, we work on giving the knees the break in the squat by working on opening up the hips and the ankles, and then you may not need knee wraps at all. So when we look at assists, I always say go without for as long as you can until you think that you've acquired the proper form and the momentum, and then add in the assist. The first assist I would add in would be the belt, because the belt is, I would say, more important than the knee wraps. The third thing is the Valsalva effect. A lot of you guys have heard in training through different coaches and whatnot not to hold your breath, and this is a misnomer. Actually, it's untrue for the squat and a few other big leg workouts too, like the hack and the leg press. You actually need to hold your breath in the squat. It is vitally important, and you're going to find that you naturally do hold your breath. And the reason for that is because you have to push on the way up. So I liken it to a karate chop. When you're pulling back before you swing out into a chop, you are holding and then you exhale. You're doing the same with a squat. You're holding on the way down and then you exhale as you come up into the squat, which is the hard part. The descent isn't hard, it's when you're coming up. That's where all the work comes in. And so with the Valsalva effect, what you're also doing is you are protecting the back, especially when you're holding your breath. And if you're adding a belt on, it's creating even more of a Valsalva effect, which is what you want. And so you're creating intra body pressure by holding, and you're holding your body still, and as you're breathing in and holding your breath as you're descending, it is creating pressure against the back and the front of your body, and it's protecting your spinal column, it's protecting your core, right? And so that is a natural breathing technique you're going to find yourself doing. Don't change it. You don't want to breathe consistently through a squat. You want to, that's how you want to breathe, right? The other thing that a lot of coaches don't teach or don't even know, and it took me years to come across this, different body types require different squatting techniques. This video will go into it, but I can't go into it in too much depth because a lot of times you have to work with a coach for weeks or months to understand your basic individual anatomy, your physiology, how your body works. But generalities can apply here. Here's the deal. If you are anatomically correct in your body length and your limb length, and you kind of know that because you would know if you could fit into clothes off the rack, or you kind of know that because at this age we kind of know our bodies, then you're good to squat. If you have a long waist and short legs, you are at an advantage as a squatter. You make the best squatters. And the reason for that is because your knees will never jut out past your toes because you have shorter legs according to your body length. If your body is longer and your legs are shorter, you can perfect the squat better than any other body type. If you're like me and you have a short waist and long legs, then you're anatomically incorrect for the squat and you have to do a few certain things in order to perfect it. But for people like me, I cannot go deep into the squat. I can go to parallel, but if I try to go below parallel, it puts my back in an awkward position and I can risk getting a bulging disc or pressuring the discs too much. It's just the way the body is made up. And I'm not talking if you're long-legged. If you're long-legged and you're tall, you're still anatomically correct. So it depends. If you're long-waisted and short legs, beautiful. You can squat really, really well and you can go deep and deeper. Perfect. If you're anatomically perfectly correct, you'll still be able to squat really well. If you're short-waisted and long-legged like me and Arnold Schwarzenegger, we have to use different assists or we have to make sure we don't go below parallel. For some people, they can't even get to parallel because they will rock forward and it's a cantilever effect. Our legs are so long that they stick out because if we try to sit back in a squat, we fall on our butt and the knees do have to go beyond the toes slightly in order to get the depth. So keep that in mind as well. There's also different foot placements. And so when we do the free squat, I'm going to show you the free squat and the Smith squat. The free squat is the granddaddy of them all. It's the toughest to do, but it's the one that gives you the best results. What I recommend is just doing the bar. I did the bar for 6 months straight until I perfected my squat. And I really had to feel it. I really had to recognize it. I really had to understand where the bar was going. And I really needed to perfect that before I added any weight. And then when I added weight, it was 5 or 10 pounds a side, and that's it. I still don't squat really heavy because I've got to be careful with my back, and my build just doesn't allow it. So I know my limitations, but I'm about 45 to 55 a side. That seems to be my max. I'm happy with that. So it's really important that you come to know that you come to know different placements in the free bar squat. And so with free bar, you're a little bit limited. I can't do totally close. I can't do super wide. I can only do shoulder or a little bit less than. And I recommend you stay with that with the free bar. If you're on a Smith allows you to go super wide, go feet really close together, go high with your foot placement in order to hit more glute action. And that's because you're leaning into the bar and it's on a track and you're not going to fall. So the Smith is valuable for that as well. The other one is the dumbbell squat. Dumbbell squat is great for those that don't like the bar in their neck, but I really do recommend, nobody likes the bar in their neck. You get used to it, right? And you learn how to not crunch your neck and have it on your neck. It's actually supposed to be on your upper back. And that's the beauty of learning how to squat and doing it day in, day out, is you actually learn the move, and it's really, really important. So when it comes to squatting, I usually make sure I'm really warmed up. I'll do some leg work, I'll do some jump squats, I'll do some split lunge jumps, I'll do a little bit of skipping, I'll do circles, I'll do whatever I need to do to warm up my legs. I might even do a little bit of leg extensions as well, just to warm up that area. And I'm always starting with just the bar. I'll do 2 or 3 sets with the bar. And for those of you starting, you may want to start on a bench squat and then going to the bar. But let me get into that now. Alrighty, one of the fundamentals of squatting is learning proper body placement. I've taken my mic off because I don't want to squat with it, so I'm hoping you can hear me. The main thing with squatting is you want to remember to keep that lovely curve in your back. I've got my wraps on, I've got my belt on. but you need to keep that curve in your back. So what that means is when you're squatting down, you're sticking your booty out and you're hinging back, okay? So we're not going down like this, trying to keep a straight back where our knees are hinging out. I actually want you to pretend like you're sitting down on something. And what I do is I actually bring a bench in for women who are learning how to squat properly, or if they've lost focus, come back to the bench and learn how to do it. So you can grab a body bar or a Olympic bar, whatever you're comfortable with, bring it over. Remember, it's not on your neck, it's lower down on your traps, okay? So what that means is on your shoulder blades. If you're squeezing your blades together, they kind of pop out, it naturally sits there. Here I've got my bench. So all I'm doing is I'm going down, I'm sticking my booty out until I feel the bench. You can actually even sit back on it if you want to. But when I'm going down, I am booty out, booty out, booty out, keeping my chest up, looking straight ahead. So I'm keeping my upper body up. I'm not doing this, okay? We're not doing this. We're doing this. Boom. I'm lightly touching the bench. Boom. Boom. Pretend like you're sitting down on a seat. Most seats are 21 inches. Most gym benches are 21 inches. So grab the bench and just repeat over and over and over again until your brain gets wired for this movement. And I did this for months, just trying to get the movement. Now notice I'm not getting to parallel on this, but that's okay. What I'm also doing is opening up my hips and my ankles and allowing myself to learn the proper movement. Chest up, face ahead. I've got a light hold on the bar and it's resting on my upper back area. All right, from there, let's try a full squat. All right, I'm in my squat rack. I almost always, when I'm doing a free bar squat, use a squat rack. So I'm actually using the squat rack in my Smith. So it's just easier for me. So, move the hair out of the way, very important. I come under the bar with my feet spread out, one leg in front, one behind. That way I'm stable, so I don't come under with my feet together, because if I rock, I'm gonna lose it. So, spread those legs, come under, lift up, step back. From here I've got a shoulder width, and toes are slightly out. I don't go crazy with my foot stance. However you walk is how your feet should be placed. So, from here, again, I go straight into the squat, pretending like I've got a seat behind me, and I throw my hips back first. So, boom. 2, this is just the bar. 3, 4, chest up, facing straight ahead. Slight, light grip on the bench. Now, you can't see it, but if you were to video yourself on the side angle, which I highly recommend, the end of the bar should fall between your toes and your heels. So if you were to run a plumb line, which is just a hanging string with a weight on the end of it, when you come down, it should be between your toe and your heel. If not, you're leaning too far forward. I don't often see people leaning too far back because they fall back on their keister. That's usually not a worry. But usually I'll see people doing this, right? What you want to do is pretend like you're a piston and you're straight up and down, you're not bent over. So again, keeping that curve in my back, boom. This is the free bar. So, this is the real deal, the real squat. Now, as a long-legged lady, what I often do, if I want to get deeper, is I will put a little weight under my heel. And this is something I learned from like 30 years ago. When the big guys, the long-legged guys, the ones that had a hard time squatting like Arnold, he would put like a plate. So I take a 10-pound plate and I put them on the ground. I put my heels on them so they're slightly elevated. The other thing I have is my shoes have the elevation in them. So there are shoes that are better fit for some people. If you like flat shoes and you're a regular squatter, great. I like a little bit of a lift and then I add in a plate as well. So I've got a nice 2-inch lift. It allows me to get down lower without cantering forward because my body wants to go forward to compensate for my long legs. So that way, with a little bit of lift, I can get deeper into the squat and stay more upright. So keep that in mind for you anatomically incorrect, long-legged, short-waisted gals. That's what we need to do. So slip something under your heels, not under your whole foot. You want to have a slight 1 to 2 inch under your heels. So now I can show you the Smith squat, which I've already demoed before, but take a look at this one. If you guys are lucky enough to have a Smith machine, use it. This is what we're doing for squats this week, this month. In behind, lift up. I want a regular stance, okay? A little bit wider than shoulder, toes slightly out. From here, remember you're sticking your butt down. Your feet are naturally going to be about 5 or 6 inches beyond where they would be normally if you were to stand upright, okay? The reason for that is because you got to lean back a bit. From here, remember you're throwing the hips back first, okay? Not bending at the knees first, you're throwing the hips back into a seated position, all right? All the way down to parallel at least. All the way down. Squeeze your quads on the way up. Squeeze your glutes at the top. Smith machine is a great way to do a safe and slightly heavier squat, and it pulls more glute action in. So, Smith squat is our power movement that is going to start this month's leg workout. If you don't have a Smith, then do a regular squat with a barbell across the back. Okay, you guys? Smith is great. Let's rock it. Just remember, squatting is an art form that anybody can master with time and patience. It takes a long time, but once you get it, you get it. If I'm not focused, if I'm tired, if I'm overtrained, I probably won't do the free bar squat. I'll do a Smith or I'll do dumbbell, because if my focus is off, I will not do the big squat with the free bar because it requires all my attention and focus. So you've got different squats to choose from. Don't neglect to squat, ladies. All right, till next time.